Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are recording another My Hero Academia fanfic, but it is a pairing that I don't have on my channel so far. So this is a generated fic with no archive warnings. The relationship for this fic is Midoriya, Izuku, and Monoma Neito. The characters in this fic are Midoriya, Izuku, Monoma Neito, and Todoroki Shoto. The additional tags are miscommunication, fluff, awkward romance, awkward flirting, Monoma Neito-centric, bullying, light angst, Todoroki Shoto is a good friend, idiots in love, love confessions, unrequited love, not actually unrequited love, mutual pining, accidental relationship. This fic is 4,773 words and it is a one-shot, and the name of this fic is Romeo and Juliet in a Way by Glitterpen09. Here's the summary. He had been theorizing this, but today he's decided on it. All of these gifts, the compliments, the hangout invitations, it's quite obvious, isn't it? At this point, Neito is just deluding himself, shielding his mind from the truth to avoid the tragedy soon to come. Izuku Midoriya, golden child of 1A and possibly the most perfect person Neito has ever met, has fallen in love with him. And the worst part? The feeling is mutual. Neito was wrong, at least at first he was. Or Monoma thinks Izuku's been hitting on him, and through an unrealistic amount of miscommunication, they start dating. Only problem? Izuku doesn't even realize they're dating at first. Here's the fic. Izuku gives Monoma the paper, wincing at how the boy yanks it directly from his hands, not caring about how the paper crinkles slightly. What is this? Monoma asks, eyes narrowing in on Izuku. Izuku rubs the back of his neck nervously.
It's, a movie ticket. Class 1A was going to see a movie sometime soon, and we had a few extra tickets. We were wondering if you wanted to come along?
Monoma continues to stare at him for a few moments before he looks away with a slight flush to his face. I don't know what you think you're doing, Midoriya, but I will not fall for your tricks. Find someone else to pester. Izuku sighs but accepts his defeat as Monoma drops the ticket on the floor and walks away. Well, there goes that attempt at trying to befriend Monoma. He's tried to break down Monoma's walls over time, but the other boy is honestly a bit more stubborn than even Izuku himself. He's done everything from open doors for him when they walk into the same room, to inviting him for sparring matches, to even, on the rare occasion, giving him small gifts. Despite it all, Monoma has never let Izuku in, not even a little bit. Sighing, Izuku crouches down to pick up the ticket, not even noticing the person silently watching him from afar. Neito watches Midoriya silently, trying to keep to the shadows as to not be noticed. The boy looks sad, disappointed, heartbroken even, and to Neito's embarrassment, it pulls at his heartstrings. It's only when Midoriya begins to head to the dorms that Neito begins his own path to his own room. Midoriya's been rather casual with Neito as of late, frustratingly so. They aren't friends, nothing of the sort, and Neito would rather be caught dead than hanging out with a 1A student. And yet, Midoriya has been so persistent. Neito can't avoid it any longer, can't deny the truth of the boy's constant pestering for attention. He pulls open his drawer, revealing various gifts and sticky notes. He pulls them from their place, throwing them all on the bed and observing each one carefully. A miniature cat keychain with light blonde fur and a dark black suit, gifted from Midoriya one of the times the two classes had decided to set aside their rivalry to instead have a fun day out at the mall. Midoriya had said it reminded him of Neito. a bracelet with light blue, black, and golden beads shaped like stars, given to him during a sleepover in the common room that Tetsu had annoyingly dragged him to. A folded piece of paper, one of many with detailed analysis on both his quirk and fighting style, given to him right after the sports festival. Neito unfolds it, lightly tracing his thumb over the sketched-out drawing of his hero costume. He blushes and sets the item down before nodding to himself. He had been theorizing this, but today he's decided on it. All of these gifts, the compliments, the hangout invitations. It's quite obvious, isn't it? At this point, Neito is just deluding himself, shielding his mind from the truth to avoid the tragedy soon to come. Izuku Midoriya, golden child of 1A, and possibly the most perfect person Neito has ever met, has fallen in love with him. And the worst part? The feeling is mutual. It hadn't been at first, of course. Neito is a part of Class 1B, Midoriya 1A. Just the idea of being with one of those fools is ridiculous. They're reckless, rambunctious show-offs who constantly hog the attention that his class so deserves. He had thought Midoriya was the same. Had thought he was just another pretentious fool. One who was trying to lure Neito into a false sense of security before crushing his heart in an act of betrayal. Neito was wrong. He thinks he started to realize it when he read through the first analysis paper Midoriya had given him. The words were so kind, so detailed. They hadn't been even slightly judgmental to his quirk, hadn't called it weak or useless, had just pointed out his possible exploits and how to work around them. Neito collapses onto his bed, face burning with a vengeance. What a tragedy. A Romeo and Juliet-esque situation, an irony that only he possesses the knowledge of. He can never let anyone know of his love, nobody but the one he shares it with. It's sick. It's devastating. Neito's heart cannot stop beating. He doesn't think it'll ever slow down, not in a million years. Not even as he drifts to sleep, clutching the cat keychain in his hands. Izuku stretches his arms, elbows popping as he gets ready for today's fight training. It isn't too much, just some quirkless sparring between Class 1A and 1B, but Izuku's excited. He's been wanting to teach Todoroki some combat skills, screw Endeavor for focusing so much on quirk training instead of basic combat, and today's lesson seemed perfect for that. He's just about to approach Todoroki as he hears a voice behind him. Midoriya. Izuku turns to see Monoma standing in his school uniform, face flushed and slightly sweaty. Izuku stops in his tracks, confused.
Monoma? What are you doing still in your uniform? Are you feeling all right?
Izuku's voice comes out slow and measured, but definitely confused. Can we, would you want to... He swallows. Would you want to spar together? Izuku's eyes widen in surprise, but he nods excitedly.
Of course! Just let me,
He turns to see Kacchan angrily approaching Todoroki and pointing at him, then a side of the gym, and Izuku sighs in relief.
Yeah, we can spar together, but you should probably change into your sports uniform. You're, not looking so well.
Monoma seems to be confused for a moment before he looks down and then managing to turn even redder. Oh, you're right. I should do that. I'll be right back. Izuku waves goodbye before tilting his head a bit to the side. What was all that about? Neito feels like he's going to throw up. His heart's beating so fast it might as well give him a heart attack. And his body is pumped with so much adrenaline he feels like he could run a mile. Neito needs to calm down. He can't be so vulnerable, especially not around Midoriya. All he needs to do is recite what he was going to ask Midoriya. That should be simple and easy, shouldn't it? He leaves the locker room, now in his sports uniform, in a state of calm unlike before. He can do this. All he needs to do is tell Midoriya he likes him back.
Oh, Monoma!
Midoriya smiles, and Neito feels his heart skip a beat. Calm down. He needs to calm down.
You look a lot better now. Are you still feeling okay to spar?
Monoma nods. Of course. Earlier was just a blunder. Pardon me for how awkward I was. He shrugs in response and gets in position.
It's all right. We're all like that sometimes. Tell me when to start.
The fight goes on for a while, and Monoma finds himself actually having fun. It's nice to actually have time with Midoriya, even if it isn't the typical meet cute. After a while, they both become exhausted and fall to the floor, breaths shallow.
Hey, Monoma? Why did you want to spar with me today? I'm not complaining. I thought you didn't like 1A students.
Neito feels his face turn red again, and he sits up slightly, meeting Midoriya's eyes. I've recently started to think that you may be an exception. Midoriya's eyes widen.
Oh, that's nice, Monoma. I appreciate it. I think.
Neito nods, eyes shutting before he looks back up at him. I've noticed your kindness, and I understand why you're doing it. I feel the same way. I want us to be closer too. Midoriya looks confused, squinting like he's trying to figure out what Neito means exactly, before he starts to smile tiredly.
Oh, that's great, Monoma. Did you, think about the offer from yesterday?
He looks nervous, fidgeting with his own fingers as he waits for Neito to respond. Neito nods. I would like to go, as long as you're with me. Then he flushes, realizing how embarrassing that sounds. If that's okay with you. Izuku looks relieved.
Great! I'll tell the others.
Wait! Neito squeaks out, voice shaking slightly. It's probably not the best idea for them to know we have connections. You should probably make up some excuse or something. Midoriya looks a bit confused, then disappointed before he nods.
All right, I can do that. It might be for the best anyway. I think they may get suspicious of you if you're suddenly super up to spending time with our class.
Of course, they can't let Class 1A start theorizing about things. They would never understand the bond they carry. If they figure out about Neito and Izuku's relationship, what would they do? Pull the two apart? Isolate them? Kick them out of UA? Or, of course, they might just decide to mock him for it for the rest of his time at this forsaken school. Probably the worst death sentence of them all, if Neito's being honest. Monoma returns to his dorms, feeling rather on edge from his racing thoughts. But it all comes to a stop when he realizes what had taken place today. He had confessed to Midoriya. His face turns a bright red as he shoves it into the pillow and screams out of pure embarrassment. Izuku is quietly humming to himself as he cleans the 1A kitchen. Finally, he managed to befriend Monoma. Of course, it seems like he's not really willing to let go of his petty rivalry just yet. But that's fine. Izuku can be patient. He's sure that eventually Monoma will grow to like all of 1A, just how he likes Izuku. Izuku pauses, leaning against the counter. What exactly is the reason Monoma is so friendly all of a sudden? It's not like Izuku is any better than the others. He's just as, if not more reckless than the rest of Class 1A combined. Monoma must have seen that at the sports festival. Maybe it's just because Izuku tries to include him. That would make sense. The rest of 1A doesn't seem to like Monoma very much. Izuku can understand why to a degree. It's kind of how 1B has a grudge against Kacchan. You can only understand someone like that once you get to know them, and until then, there will always be miscommunications. Either way, Izuku is glad to finally get on Monoma's good side. He hopes they'll be able to be good friends by the time they all go to the movies. Something tugs at his mind, though. Something familiar. Monoma's behavior bugs him. He can't put his finger on it, but his phrasing and expressions seem odd to a degree. Oh well, he'll figure it out eventually. Shoto waits for Midoriya at their usual spot, picking at his soba and scrolling on his phone. He's noticed Midoriya hasn't been spending as much time with him lately. Shoto doesn't mind too much, but he's started to meet up with other friends and grow new relationships, so it isn't too heartbreaking to see Midoriya distance himself. Though, Shoto is curious as to why this is happening. He didn't do anything wrong, socially or otherwise. He had to ask Midoriya that the other day, and Midoriya responded with a frantic reassuring that it had nothing to do with Shoto. If it had been something Shoto had done, Izuku wouldn't have lied, would he? Something catches his eye, so he narrows in at the sight. Near the doors to the lunchroom, Midoriya is chatting with a blonde-haired boy. He looks vaguely familiar, like a member of 1B. Ah, Monoma. Shoto narrows his eyes at the boy, debating on if he should stand up and intervene. Then, out of nowhere, Monoma grabs Midoriya's sleeve and pulls him out of the lunchroom, his face tinted a bright red. Well, Shoto guesses Midoriya isn't joining him for lunch today. He stands up, taking his plate with him, and making his way to where Uraraka and Ida are sitting.
Ah, Todoroki, nice to see you. Where's Deku?
Uraraka asks, looking around. He went to have lunch with someone else, I'm pretty sure.
Oh!
Uraraka's eyes widen.
I see. Did you see who it was?
Todoroki pauses before shaking his head. Something about that interaction seemed strange. He doesn't know if he should tell them or not. Eventually, Shoto asks them a question. Ida, Uraraka.
What's the matter, Todoroki?
If two people start spending a lot of time with each other, and one day you see them talk to the other while blushing, what does that mean? They're silent for a few moments before Ida's face turns a light pink and Uraraka's eyes go wide with understanding.
It probably means they're dating,
Uraraka responds. Oh. Todoroki sucks in a breath but nods in understanding. Midoriya and Monoma? That's weird. Neito lays on the grass, watching as the clouds slowly float by. It's nice out. The sun is shining warmly above the kinda picnic blanket he had set up.
This is a really nice spot, Monoma-kun. Do you have lunch here often?
Neito's stomach flips and he nods prideful. I often go here when I can no longer stand the blabbering of my classmates. I hope it's to your liking. Midoriya lays down beside him, joining him as they gaze up at the sky.
It's nice. We should have lunch here more often.
Neito feels like his heart is going to explode. Or stop. Either one. Neito might as well be shot dead right here, right now, with how hard his blood's pumping through his chest. You can call me Neito. There's a silence for a moment before Midoriya hesitantly responds.
Are you sure?
Yes, I really like you, and I want us to be closer. So yes, you can call me Neito.
Oh.
Midoriya leans in slightly closer.
Then you can call me Izuku.
Izuku, Neito replies, voice shaky. You have a pretty name. Now they're staring at each other, Izuku, face bright red.
You really like it, Neito?
Izuku must really want him dead, but he can only take so many heart attacks before it gets to be too much. Izuku sits at his desk, working on his most recent analysis of his new friend. He's mostly working on how he could use specific groups of quirks, fire-based quirks, strength quirks, flight, with his current fighting style. Neito is becoming someone important to Izuku, he thinks. It's a bit weird considering nobody else knows about their friendship in the first place, But Izuku doesn't exactly mind that. Sure, it makes things a bit awkward when they want to talk in person, but it isn't too hard of a secret to keep. He does think his close friends have noticed, though. They keep bringing up Neito in conversations, asking odd questions, and being strangely pushy when it comes to him and who he's recently hanging out with. He tries to act like their questions don't bother him, like they don't make his face feel tingly and his heart feel warm. Well, at least this weekend is when they are all going to the movies. Izuku's pretty excited. He even managed to get a few people from Class 1B to join them, other than Neito, of course. Izuku finishes his analysis work, going back to work on his Neito drawing. Sometimes this is his favorite part of analysis work. It's nice to see his thoughts visualized, made physical with a small drawing or doodle along with his text analysis. He sketches out his costume and hair, already having drawn the facial features earlier. Monoma has a nice face. Izuku had actually enjoyed drawing it, though it made him feel really nervous, like he's doing something he shouldn't. More often than not, he finds himself adding, then erasing minor details that feel unimportant in the overall drawing. His curly brown eyelashes, the smile lines that show when he laughs, the way the sun bounces off his hair. He usually doesn't put this much effort into his art, but Neito's different. Izuku wants to draw him. He could sit down and draw him for hours if he was given the opportunity. Izuku smacks his own face, shaking his head. Snap out of it. Stop being a weird fanboy. That's your classmate. Sure, Neito is a good hero, but he's also Izuku's friend. He needs to stop idolizing him like this. It's gross and creepy. The last time he felt this way about one of his friends was with Kachan back in middle school, and he can't have a repeat of whatever that was. He knows how people react when they see that side of him. He knows what they'll say, what Neito will say when he finds out. Sighing, Izuku shuts his notebook. He'll finish the drawing tomorrow. Neito stares at his face in the mirror, checking for blemishes, dirt on his face, any possible miscalculation that could ruin his first proper date with Izuku. Just to be sure he's perfect for the date, he combs his hair a few extra times and finds his best, but not overly show-offy, no, it's still a group hangout, he can't let anyone else notice how hard he's trying, dress shirt. When he's sure he's finally ready, he heads out the door. He sees Izuku and feels his whole world turn on ahead. He hardly gets the chance to see Izuku in casual wear, since a majority of their hangouts take place during or after school. The boy's not wearing anything fancy, not really, but just being able to see him in something different for a change is refreshing. Izuku smiles at him.
Oh, Neito, good to see you. You're a bit earlier than the others.
I wanted to be able to properly say hello to you, Neito admits.
Oh.
Izuku's eyes widen in understanding.
I see. Well, I'm glad. Our classmates should be here in about 5 minutes if they all come around the designated time.
Neito nods in confirmation before stepping closer to Izuku. I'm a bit nervous, if I'm being honest.
Oh, what's the matter?
I've never gone out with someone like this before.
Oh.
Izuku's expression turns a bit sad.
That's all right. You know, for a long time, I never really spoke to anyone either.
Really? Neito furrows his eyebrows. Does that mean this is Izuku's first date too? But you're so incredible. Izuku blushes.
Not really. I mean, for a long time, nobody really liked me. I was kind of weak and weird and creepy. I never really had anyone who wanted to talk to me.
Neito gasps and takes a step closer, grabbing Izuku's hands and holding them assuringly. That's not true, Izuku. You're not weak or weird, and certainly not creepy. You're the strongest and most amazing person I know. At this point, Izuku is so shocked that he looks like he's about to faint.
Neito, what are you...
Izuku, I love... Something behind them falls to the floor and Neito whips his head around to see Bakugo staring at the two of them, dumbstruck.
Oh my god,
he breathes.
Todoroki was actually right.
They quickly break away from each other, flushed and embarrassed. Things are a bit awkward after that. Izuku is so confused. Neito is weird, very weird. He says things that make Izuku really suspicious sometimes. Like really, really, really suspicious. But today was a new level. Izuku can't stop himself from occasionally glancing at Neito during the movie, looking at his hands. They had held hands, hadn't they? Izuku's never held hands with someone before, other than his mother. He's never understood why. Couples do that, never experienced such a thing. Neito had grabbed his hands. Izuku had held them back. Maybe Neito got overwhelmed? Yeah, that would make sense. He got overwhelmed in his mini speech and grabbed Izuku's hands to prove a point. It was a one-time fluke, an accident, that would surely not be repeated ever again. Izuku eyes Neito's hand, resting on the armrests of his mini stalls for a moment. What if he... Izuku inches his hand closer to Neito's, until eventually they are so close Izuku can feel his skin lightly brush against the other's. Neito tenses for a moment and Izuku panics, but he feels a hand wrap around his own. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Izuku and Neito leave the theater holding hands, faces bright red. Everyone's staring at them. Izuku can feel it. All of a sudden, Neito turns to Izuku, eyes wide and shiny. Izuku, we have to tell them. Izuku's eyes widen and he looks around before pointing at himself.
About us?
About their friendship? He supposes that would make sense. Yes, Neito responds quickly but confidently. We can't keep this a secret any longer. Even if they shun us, it won't matter, as long as I'm with you. Izuku blinks. Neito's being a bit strange again.
Okay, that's fine by me, I guess.
Neito nods, grips Izuku's hand tighter. Todoroki and a few of the Class 1B students have been staring at them, at their hands. Izuku feels his stomach flip. There's something me and Izuku haven't been telling you all. Neito starts, voice shaky. We're deeply in love and have been in a secret relationship for weeks. Wait, what? Izuku turns to Neito, gobsmacked.
We are?
Neito meets Izuku's eyes. We are. Before he notices the confused expression on Izuku's face and he turns to everyone else. Gears start turning and Neito lets go of Izuku's hands. Aren't we? Izuku steps closer.
No? I didn't think you actually...
Neito flinches and backs away, hands shaking. Oh God. I'm so sorry. I thought... Izuku doesn't even get another word out before Neito speeds away. Neito clutches his coat close to him, breaths unevenly racking throughout his entire body. He's crying, most likely, but it's hard to tell with how loudly it's raining. He had managed to find a safe spot from the rain eventually. He doesn't even know where it is, where he is. All he can understand is the pattering rain around him and the tear-inducing embarrassment that courses through his veins. He's an idiot. Of course Izuku hadn't loved him. Of course Neito was making it all up. He had created this entire story, his delusion, all on his own, latching onto the first person who's ever treated him with the bare bones amount of kindness. And how had he responded to that? He's so dramatic, hysterical, foolish. He embarrassed himself and Izuku, embarrassed his best friend, his crush. That's all it was, wasn't it? They hadn't been in love. Izuku hadn't, at least. Neito was the one with the crush. Neito was the one who took things too far. Izuku hadn't even been aware of it. He's so disgusting, deplorable. He never deserved Izuku, never deserved a friend like that. Now his friendship is gone. Izuku is never going to want to talk to him again, and it's all his fault.
Neito?
Neito looks up to see Izuku, covered in rain and hovering above where he's curled into himself. He doesn't respond and quickly looks back down, burying his face in his knees. He feels a warmth beside him as Izuku kneels to sit next to Neito.
It took me a while to find you. I got pretty worried.
Neito sniffles, definitely crying at this point. I'm sorry.
I didn't get too soaked. Don't worry about it.
Not just that. I'm sorry for what I said, for what I did to you. He curls further into himself, pulling at his own hair. You're my best friend, Izuku, and I embarrassed you in front of everyone. He feels something grasp at his hand, pulling it away from his head.
Stop that.
Neito looks up to see Izuku smiling at him. He holds back the complete awe he feels. I'm sorry. Izuku sighs and lets go of his hand.
You know, when you said all of that in front of our class, I thought I was the one who had misinterpreted our relationship.
Neito furrows his brows. What? Izuku laughs, and Neito feels his head rest on his shoulder.
I'm bad with a lot of social stuff. There was, a time back in middle school, some kid from my class walked up to me, told me that she liked me, and that she wanted to go on a date with me.
Neito's eyes widen. Oh, what did you say?
I told her I was gay.
Izuku huffs.
And that as much as I appreciated it, as much as I appreciated her, I could never like her the same way.
Neito is about to respond when Izuku continues, voice starting to get shaky.
Then the next day I found out the truth.
He shudders.
She didn't actually like me. It was a prank. There were people I'd never even met before filming me from nearby. Everyone knew.
Izuku hugs his knees.
Everyone knew I was gay, and they thought it was hilarious. They started asking me out constantly, walking up to me during lunch, telling me their friend had a crush on me. I felt so embarrassed for thinking someone actually liked me, for thinking that was even possible.
So, Neito watches closely as Izuku picks at the hem of his uniform, freckled hands shaking slightly.
So, when I think someone likes me, or even when they say it directly, I just ignore it. I can't have something like that happen again. I think I knew you liked me in that way, but I ignored it, and I'm sorry for that. I should have realized what you meant when you said all those things.
They're silent for a while after that. The rain had started to die down, and Neito feels a lot drier than before. Izuku's curls have begun to go back to normal. Izuku. He feels his friend move slightly. How do you feel about me after all this?
The same as before,
Izuku replies, voice quiet. So you want to continue being friends? A pause before.
You know, Neito, I'm starting to think you're even more socially inept than me when it comes to this stuff.
Neito blushes and quickly whips his head around to face Izuku. What? What's that supposed to mean? Izuku's hand moves towards his own, and Monoma lets him grab it, heart pounding loudly in his chest.
What it means,
Izuku sighs, and Neito can see the lightest hint of blush on his face.
That even if I didn't consider our relationship romantic before, I want to now.
Neito sits there, processing the words, before slowly it all comes to, and his eyes widen. I love you.
What?
Izuku squawks. Neito moves to grab Izuku's other hand, eyes shining with determination. I wanted to say this earlier, but I didn't get the chance. Izuku Midoriya, no matter how dramatic I know this may sound since I've only been dating, or not really dating, for a few weeks, I love you more than I've ever loved anything before.
Oh!
Izuku's face turns bright red, and it looks like his soul left its body.
Neito, that's very strong. Statement.
I'm fully aware of that, Neito beams. But it's how I feel, and I'm tired of hiding it. Izuku stares at him for a moment, eyes wide, before he laughs. And Neito could swear his heart stopped for a moment at the sound.
I love you too?
Neito pulls Izuku into an embrace, face digging into the shoulder of his hoodie. There's a small yelp of surprise, but the hug is quickly returned. Neito knows he'll be embarrassed later, when this all calms down. He knows he'll feel like the biggest fool on earth explaining what happened to his classmates, to his friends. But in Izuku's arms, in the arms of the person he loves, that doesn't matter to him. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me for this one. I think this one is really cute, and the author did kind of apologize for out of character Monoma Neito, but I don't necessarily think he is too out of character in this one. He still comes off, I don't know, it's hard to guess how he would act in the show, if he actually liked someone, and I could kind of see him acting like that, I don't know. I have no idea. I love Monoma. Monoma is one of my favorite characters. He's definitely in my top 5, and I hate that he gets so much hate, but I love him. I actually really love him and Deku together. I think it's one of the ships that I prefer him in. I do also love Monoma and Shinso together, but I love him and Deku. I think it has a really nice dynamic. I've said it before, it kind of gives that Bakugo and Deku, but without their past childhood bullying and past traumatic relationship. I think it gives a little bit of that without a really heavy backstory, because Monoma and Bakugo are kind of similar. But I hope that you guys like this one, and I hope that you guys will consider coming back for some more fics on the channel. Please consider subscribing, going over to the original fic, leaving some kudos there, leaving some comments. And if you come back to the channel for another video, I'll see you next time.